Morning. Good morning. This stream's gonna suck. You can tune out right now. I have a drive to make, and I figured there's nothing to watch, so I would, or listen to, so I would do a live stream. Obviously, I'll be driving. Problem is, because I live in rural Pennsylvania, sometimes the internet goes out, the 5G. Also, it wouldn't let me do landscape mode, so my dashboard holder of my phone here is failing on me. So I gotta do, it's a mess. Problems. What can you do? But hey, good morning, everyone. Up late watching Trump's speech. Ooh. Now listen, there's reasons that obviously the media and the Democrats dislike Trump, obviously. But I think they're really furious this morning because he kept them up late, which probably isn't good for them. But we'll talk a little about Trump's speech. I do want to forewarn people, if you're new to the channel, I shouldn't even do videos like this, because what it does is, this video is going to suck so bad that the next time you see me live, you're like, yeah, I'm not gonna watch this dude. Because what happens is, the internet's going to go out all the time. So, if you're tuning in right now, you're probably going to struggle through, wait a minute, it froze for 2 minutes there, what's going on? So I don't blame you for leaving, of course. I don't blame you for leaving anyways, on the best of days. Let's be honest, much like Trump, I could be too long-winded. Hey, that was cool. So let's talk a little about just stream of consciousness. Upon reflection last night of Trump's speech there. Oh boy, CDL test. That guy was taking his CDL test. Go, buddy, go. Young guy too. We need more young truck drivers, man. It's something I hear all the time. I know a bunch of guys that are truck drivers, and they're all getting towards retirement age. Young people don't want to do it. I'm barely capable of driving a car, let alone a tractor trailer, so it's not for me. But yeah, man, if you're out there, if you're young, it's a career opportunity, man. You're needed. Consider getting your CDL. Anywho, you're probably going to lose me here for a second, so I'm just going to ramble on until I hit this dead spot, and then hopefully when I come back, we'll be good to go. Now, this particular drive that I'm taking, I don't know that I've ever streamed while attempting this drive, so I have no idea what the internet's going to be like once I get out of this little area here. Hopefully good, but probably not. Now, it is a clear day, so I got that going for me, but apparently, like, the entire world's Windows computers like crap the bed last night while I haven't read much about it, but I saw a bunch of banking systems. The people responsible is a company called CrowdStrike, which I know very little about, other than they're the ones that were responsible with getting the information on the DNC server that blamed Russia for hacking the DNC in 2016. So, not exactly a company that I have a fond reputation of. So who knows? Who knows what the internet's going to be here. Again, we'll give people 20 seconds. Oh, yep. We're still there? Oh, yeah, I think we're still here. All right. Maybe that was it. So I'm heading to physical therapy is what I'm doing for my back. And once we get to the light here, then I'll start talking about the RNC and Trump's speech last night, and then we'll just roll from there. So, alrighty. Okay, looks like the light. So the speech last night, I ended up in real time. Here's something it's strange. Even if you're one of the hardest things to do in life is to formulate your own thoughts and opinions. It's so easy, and I don't care who you are. You could be the smartest, most professional person in a field, and still it's hard to not let other people influence you. So oftentimes what I like to do with a debate, with a speech, those are things I'm really interested in. I wouldn't call myself a professional, but I did that sort of stuff in college, and I was pretty good at it. So I like to give my honest thoughts in real time. Sometimes when you give your thoughts and then you go and you look, well, what did other people say? Sometimes it's different. But I like that. I like being able to know, well, hey, I gave my own opinion. I didn't let someone else influence me. So I gave Trump's speech an 8 or an 8.5 last night. I thought the beginning of the speech was historical. It was a moment that, you know, I don't know what to say. To me, it was in the pantheon of speeches. That will be one, the first 20 minutes, that will be written in the history books. And it's not even because Trump did an excellent job, but he did. It's just because of the circumstances. An assassination attempt on the former president. It's basically his first speech since then. He's honoring the gentleman that was murdered. Those sorts of moments, whether you do excellently or you fail, the world is watching. And I thought he did do excellent. I thought that he showed emotion that was authentic. I thought that you could tell he was shaken a bit, but in a very human way. And for me, that message was very emotional and very impressive. So I gave that high marks, a 10 out of 10. You know, the rest of the speech, the ending was okay, maybe an 8 out of 10, but the rest, the middle, I would only give a 5 or a 6 out of 10. I thought it was rambling. I didn't think it was anything terrible, but it just, I lost interest. I'll be honest. The length of it really just made me sort of tune out and was like checking text messages that I got and stuff like that. Again, there were a couple of things, you know, I talked about last night that I wouldn't have said I was him, but that's just the truth. Now, the one caveat was the narrative that was forming from the people that disliked Trump was at the beginning, oh, he's not the same. He's emotional in a bad way. They're spinning it in a bad. He's lost his energy. I mean, one thing you could say with Trump going as long as he did, and I think the best part about him in the section was he's going off the cuff at times. He's riffing, he's joking, and you like to see that after, I mean, as a human being, if someone goes through a traumatic event, you like to see them still have a sense of humor. You like to see them still be their old self. So that's good. That part of it's good. I just thought the length was a little long. So all things given, I gave it about an 8 or an 8.5 out of 10. I think that once we get past the moment, like we're all victims of the moment, the only thing people will really remember about this speech is the beginning of it. And so I think that as time goes on, people's remembrance of this speech will be better. They'll remember the length, but they'll remember that. And most normies either watched it live and just tuned out once it got too long, or they're watching replays of that beginning section. And so pretty good for Trump. Could have nailed it, could have, but I don't think he did that, but it was pretty good. Now, when you tune into the chattering class, the Democrats, the media, they're like, this is terrible. This was finally something good for the Democrats. Trump did terribly. Now, first, let's talk about how disingenuous this is. If this was Barack Obama and he went through an assassination attempt, the fawning over that beginning part of the speech would have been incalculable. And rightfully so, might I add. Now, I don't like Obama, but an event like that, I think that I'm of an interest in politics and I talk about it enough and look into it enough that I would be able to separate. I'm not saying I'd be like, oh, now I'm voting for Obama. I'm not saying that. And I'm admitting with Trump that I think that it is still illogical, if you didn't like his policies, etc., to say, oh, now just because he was attacked, I'm going to vote for him. I agree. It's illogical. And I don't think I would do that. But I also understand that that's not how politics works. People do vote based on emotion. People do vote based on optics. And certainly Trump had that in spades after this attempt on his life. So I get both sides of it. I really do. So had this been Obama, I'm swearing to you, I would have been very much impressed with his handling of that and still said, well, I'm not going to vote for him. And I might have said, well, when he's describing his policies for an hour or the policies of his opponents, it's not my cup of tea. But it would be historic. The speech that he would have gave would have been historic. So it's funny to watch, well, whatever. He rambled on a little too long. And that's a true statement, but I think they're significantly making the speech sound worse than it was. That's just my opinion. And it's difficult because I think a lot of people allow what other people say to influence their opinion. I do as well. So if you didn't watch the speech, or if you did and you're like, I don't know what to think of this, and then you go and you tune on CNN or you pick up the New York Times or whatever, you're probably going to say, oh, it wasn't good. It wasn't a good speech. And I personally don't think that's true. I think that there were parts, again, I'm being as honest as I can. Ultimately, what is the message that comes out of the RNC? I think that it is true that this aren't, what's going on? That guy's just giving his buddy the finger. He's walking down the sidewalk. What's going on here? By the way, right now where I'm passing is my university where I got my undergrad degree. So that's how close. I've lived in this area my entire life. So this university is called Clarion University, and I worked here for a while. It's, it's a nice university, state school, but it's, anyways, I don't know why I'm rambling about that. I think that the message from the RNC is enthusiasm. I think the message is, one of the things about the 2006 RNC, I don't remember the 2021 as well, but I remember everyone talking about how dark it was. It was dark, and it was garbage. That was a garbage claim because, again, the narrative control allowed it to be like, well, Trump's talking about a lot of dark things. Well, of course, but that's what the opposition does. They say the country's going in a bad direction. Of course, what do you expect? Everything's great. So I understand that. But it really did feel like this RNC was, while still talking about the country going in a bad direction, it was like a party. It was like jubilation. It was defiance in the face of this attack on the guy who was getting the nomination. There were more cultural people. I think that the biggest thing happening politically is that it's becoming okay, the Overton window's shifting, where it's becoming okay to say, I like Trump, or I'm voting for Trump. And of course, where I live, that's always been the case. But now it's becoming socially acceptable, sort of in more mainstream circles. And I think that's the most important lesson that comes out of the RNC. I think that that's very, very scary for the Democrats. I really do. Because I think that they rely so much on the stigmatism of Trump and MAGA, and even to a lesser extent being a Republican. They relied on that stigma for so long that without that, I don't know that they could be successful in a manner that they would like to be nationally. For example, the numbers seem to suggest, and you can't really trust polling, but they seem to suggest that Black Americans are at a clip never seen in my lifetime considering voting for Republican. Now, I don't mean 60% of them or 80%. Some of the numbers I'm seeing are something like 18%, 20%. But you're talking about, groups of people that traditionally maybe it was 5%. And I think you're starting to see cultural icons, people in Silicon Valley, people that are celebrities, that are coming out and endorsing Trump, or saying, well, Trump's not that bad, even if I'm not going to vote for him. Now, that doesn't matter logically. And a celebrity knows nothing more than me or you. In fact, most of the times less. Hulk Hogan spoke yesterday. You think Hulk Hogan's got more political insight than, say, Dylan Burns or one of the lefties that I debate? Probably not. But it's important because culture matters. And we live in a society where culturally for the past 8 years, these people would be afraid for their career or to lose personal relationships to say, actually, I'm supporting Trump. You could name the celebrities that supported Trump on your hand. It was a death sentence pretty much in Hollywood to say that you supported Trump. And to much degree, it still is. That'll be one of the last institutions to accept. But to me, that's sort of everything that's occurred. That's sort of what the RNC put a fine point on, to me, was that idea. And when you juxtapose that, I think, against the Democrat Party that's falling apart, that's engaged in a civil war, I think it's powerful. And I think it does really push the message of unity in the sense that we've at least came together, right? What are the Democrats doing? And if they'll get it together eventually, once they find out who they're going to replace Biden with, they'll eventually pull it together. And their media will come out and they'll act like, blah, blah, blah. you know how it goes. But that's what the message was, the strong message from Trump's speech. Now, are there going to be people that's like, Trump said this and it's stupid? Yeah, I see it already. Trump kept talking about cheating in 2006 or 2020. I don't think it was the smartest thing to do. I really don't. The one positive I think it shows is I can't believe people still say with a straight face, Trump knows that the election wasn't stolen. Like when I debate people on the left like Destiny, they're always like, Trump gaslit his audience and he knew that it wasn't stolen. That's not true. Now, granted, I can't 100% tell you what's in Trump's head, but I sincerely believe that then and now and always, no matter what he ever says going forward, he still thinks the 2020 election is stolen. He does. And he can't help, if he didn't think that, then why even bring it up at that speech? So at least it does that. But to me, that sort of goes against the sort of bigger than the moment persona that he was going for at the beginning of that speech. So I wouldn't have said that, Other things that the media is going to pick up on is he did say, I'm buying your votes. That's clearly a joke, but we've seen over and over again that the Democrat loses their ability to understand jokes when it's Trump. Like when Trump joked to Russia because the FBI allowed Hillary to delete so much stuff that was subpoenaed. When he said, I guess if we ever want to see it, Russia will have to show us. Everybody knows that was a joke. But the Democrats pretend that that was him on national television asking Russia to hack Hillary, which is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, but that's what we had to pretend from the same people that told you there was no cognitive issues with Joe Biden. They just will lie shamelessly, and so that's a lie that they'll probably tell. He said Kim Jong-un was a good person, or he respected these dictators, etc., etc., etc. No. I don't mind a president that says that, and I actually think that that's the persona that he should go with world leaders. Again, take Vladimir Putin. He was very strong, at some point stronger than I would have wanted, selling weapons and whatnot to Ukraine against Russia. One of the most hawkish presidents against Russia. And yet his rhetoric made it seem like, hey, respect Vladimir Putin. He's intelligent. He's strong. For me, that's a very shrewd strategy, because it's like appealing to their ego. And if these are terrible men, which they are, Kim Jong-un's not a good guy, Vladimir Putin's not a good guy, perhaps appealing to their ego and treating them as an equal, even on a national stage where people could see, that might convince Putin when he's talking with Trump, hey, I respect this dude. Let me give you an example. This is going to be way off and I'm going to get laughed at for this. We talked a lot about the extremism coming from Destiny's community this week. I'm probably going to lose you here in a second. But because of my authentic respect for Destiny's ability to debate and me being charitable, I would think that I would have a better chance of talking to Destiny's audience at least about that one thing, hey, don't do anything crazy, than 99% of other Trump supporters. On stage, someone that you might think is unhinged, like Vladimir Putin. Is he more willing to listen to a Donald Trump, someone who he respects as strong, who he respects as, at least he's giving respect to me, or Joe Biden? Every that doesn't like us has to see one. And so when Trump's talking about Kim Jong-un, hey, he respected me, I think he likes me. That's not him saying Kim Jong-un's a good guy. That's him saying, good, we should have a working relationship. Now, I want to be clear. I remember arguing with people back in the Obama days when Obama, I forget who it was, but some hostile foreign leader that he sent an envoy to, and people were like, no, you don't talk to those people. Why not? I want a president that's willing to sit across the table from even the most dangerous of hostile leaders. That's what I want, because I don't like war. I would like to solve these problems without conflict. Yes, I understand. We could look at someone like President Xi or President Kim Jong-un. Is he president? I don't know. What do they call him? And you can say, but look how horrible they are to their people. And that's terrible. But I feel the United States has lost. You get it. All right. Let's see, I'm back. Yeah, I'm back. All right. Still driving on the way to my physical therapist here. What else did he say that he get in crap for. The Hannibal Lecter thing, I think it's funny. I understand it comes across as like, what? What's this guy talking about, Hannibal Lecter? Now, the greater point that he's making there, I don't necessarily see proof of. He said this multiple times. He said at the debate that most of the people illegally coming across the border, most came from mental institutions. I think that's a bold claim. I have not seen proof of that. And the idea of like a mental institution having like, and that being conflated to Hannibal Lecter, like, I wouldn't consider myself an expert on Silence of the Lambs, but I think he was in a criminal psychiatric facility. That's not necessarily the same as what I would colloquially think of as a mental institution, but who cares? He's, in the greater scheme of things, he's riffing. And he's being funny. He was making some funny moments. And then the overall criticism, other than the length, is just that this somehow shows that Trump's unstable. Well, how? He's the same old Trump. It's not a matter of instability. Again, these people, what did I say, right? And I have to remind myself of this constantly. What did I say immediately following the debate? These people will gaslight you about anything. Trump got cognitive decline too. Trump's unstable too. They're not even in the same ballpark of Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Now, I know what's going to happen when they replace Biden. Now, all of a sudden, the things that they told you weren't a big deal about cognitive decline and it's just a stutter and age, they're going to say, oh, yeah, and look, Kamala's better than Trump. Trump's old, Trump stutters. Well, they won't say stutter. They're full of shit. Again, the narrative from these people at the beginning of the debate was Trump's lost his energy. He's scared. He's affected. Then when he becomes the old Trump, oh, Trump's rambling. He's unstable. It didn't matter what he said. It didn't matter to these people. If he came out and was just somber and was like, now's the time to call for unity, I'm so sorry that this occurred, they'd be like, weak. He can't be president. If he comes out and gives the speech he did, where he kind of does both things, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. I'm now going into a more wooded area, so we'll see. So that was it. Nothing Trump said was unrecoverable. It was more of a, okay, it went on very long. And if you're a normie and you watched, the speech was too long. There is no getting over that. And I don't know why someone on Trump's team, because my understanding is, looking into it afterwards, they predicted the speech would be about an hour and a half, which it was. I don't understand why Trump's speechwriters didn't say, like, man, let's pare this down to 45 minutes. You could still hit all the topics that you want, but 20 minutes at the beginning of this sort of emotional opening, then 15 minutes on borders out of control, foreign policy's out of control, economy's out of control, we're going to make America great again, and then 10-minute finish. I think it would have been much smoother. But it was still a pretty good speech. I give it a B. It could have easily been an A+, but I give it a B. So that's my honest take on the speech. Where do we go from here? Well, the Civil War continued. I think, I've said for a long, long time that I think there's a solid chance that Biden won't be the nominee in 2024. However, before I sit here and pound my chest and say, oh, look how right I am, look how smart I am. First, I also said that in 2020. I did not think they would nominate Joe Biden. I was wrong. So I was definitely wrong about that. Second, I didn't say I had 100% certainty. I said at some points there's a 30% chance, there's a 50% chance. But I always left room for, I can't say I'm certain of this. I'm just saying there's a really good chance that this happens. So that's different than me coming out and saying, there were people, guarantee Biden won't be the nominee. So I didn't do a greatest job as predicting as them. But I did have a little discussion with Ann Wilson, who told me, nope, no chance. So we'll see. It hasn't ended yet, even though there's a lot of rumors that it's inevitable. But it might not happen. Who knows? There's a civil war going on within the Democratic Party. Biden doesn't want to leave. He doesn't. And the lesson to take from this is the Democrats don't give a shit about the will of their voters. They didn't give a shit when they lied to the voters and didn't tell them about Biden's mental condition. They didn't give a shit. And they don't give a shit now. They don't care. And they're going to try to make this ridiculous argument that, well, Biden can't be the nominee. That's some representative put that yesterday. They tweeted out, they were like, regrettably, I'm signing on to this letter saying that Biden should step down, blah, 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 blah. And I only have one question. Why? What happened? Something's wrong with Biden? Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. Can you tell me what it is? Notice they're not saying that. You notice that? No one's saying, well, this is why. He's been great, but now it's time to step down. Why? What happened? Care to tell me? And if Biden steps down, I'm almost positive of this, they're not going to say because of his mental decline. They're not going to say that. They're going to say, oh, it's because COVID, or it's because he needs to spend time with his family, or they're not going to say, because they can't explain to you. Everybody knows. In case you wondered, well, maybe they've learned their lesson. Maybe the media and the Democrats won't blatantly gaslight us now. They're going to gaslight you and try to make the argument, wow, it's just that he's clearly sharp as a tack still. Biden's clearly sharp enough to be president of the United States. So he could finish out his term, but something is there that he can't be president next time. It's because they don't actually care at all. They don't care at all about having a competent president. They don't give a shit. They know that that president's just a placeholder, that it's people behind the scenes running things. They know that. If Trump never agrees to that debate, never agrees to it, and we don't see Biden fall apart in the national stage, and Biden just proceeds to give the occasional speech at a fundraiser where he's fumbling all over his words like he does, the media would be saying, cheap fakes. Those are cheap fakes. Oh, Republicans pounce on cheap fakes. That's what they'd be saying. And they'd all know the truth. All the George Clooney, the fundraisers that are now writing letters like, oh yeah, we knew something was wrong with Biden. They know the truth. And they would have hidden it. And now they're coming out. Jake Tapper's coming out like he's brave. He knows what he was doing. They all know. They haven't changed a leaf. If Biden doesn't drop off, there will start to be conversations about the 25th Amendment eventually. Because it is clear that the people that are one of the factions of the people that are running things behind the scenes, the Obama faction, they want Joe gone. That's clear. Democracy, baby. This is the party that runs on the promise of the other side's a threat to democracy. Then when you listen to them, well, it's a private organization. They can pick their nominee any way they want. It's all true. Absolutely true. But that means they know it was never democratic. They know that, and they're okay with it. And that's fine. That's the Democrats' right. Whatever. I think that it's shit. I know people that are Democrat voters. I think those voters deserve to have their voice heard. I think misleading them to saying, yeah, you get a vote. Go ahead, go vote. When really the deck's been stacked in these primaries for years anyways. In addition to that, they were intentionally lied and gaslit to about the condition of Joe Biden. But they made the choice that they made, and now they're being told, kick rocks. We don't care. We don't think your choice will help us win. So we're going to say, nope. A bunch of powerful people behind the scenes are going to say, nope, your choice doesn't matter. Trust us, this is for your own good. You might even agree. Well, it is, if you're a Democrat. Yeah, those people, sorry, if you still want Biden, you're wrong. That's fine. But that's not democratic. So when your entire narrative against Trump is he is a threat to democracy, the truth is you never gave a shit about democracy. You never cared at all. And you know they didn't. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. It's like when Antifa labels themselves Antifa. Oh, they're anti-fascist. Really? They're engaged in tactics that we would criticize fascists using. It seems very fascist-like. No, but they call themselves anti-fascist. So, no, we say we support democracy. That's our whole thing. We're called Democrats. We support democracy. Yeah, but unelected powerful people are basically forcing out the person that was democratically chosen by their voters. No. But we're Democrats. We say we're for democracy. That's what's happening. And yes, I know some of them have convinced themselves that Donald Trump's elector scheme is the worst thing that's ever happened. And he's installed judges that will make him king, god, emperor for the rest of eternity. And so that's a unique threat to democracy. But they don't care about democracy. They're scared that they won't win. That's it. It's as simple as that. That's what it is. The same, I know it's difficult to remember. I myself have trouble. Go back to the 2016 election. Listen to what the Democrats were saying Donald Trump was. He was going to be a dictator. He was going to get us into world wars. He was going to lock up people of color and gay people. It's the same type of shit. It was the same stuff in 2020. It's literally been the same playbook for 3 elections now. He's a threat to democracy. He's so dangerous. He's this tyrant. And then he wins, and all the crazy bullshit they told you he was going to do didn't happen. None of it. But it doesn't matter. They didn't say, oh, okay, well, I guess I was wrong. They didn't say that. They just doubled down. No, this time really. Oh, if he gets in this time, boy, oh boy, this time it's really going to be a threat to democracy. And it's surreal. And people are falling for it. But of course the Democrats are, because that's who they are. They've convinced themselves of that. Another thing, an argument that I made last night that I think is worth. When you listen to the left talk now about, oh my God, well now we have to do something more extreme. Now we have to do something radical, like pack the courts, or some people are even calling for violence. And the argument goes something like this. Of course, you don't take extreme measures as long as there's chances to work within the system and affect change. And I've heard radical lefties say this ever since I've debated in college. Working within the system's great if it could work, but once it can't, once the rules are stacked so far against you, well, now you have to go outside of it. Now it's time for more extreme measures. Packing the court, engaging in acts of violence, etc., etc. That's the argument they're making. That's the argument, for example, people in Destiny's communities making. Right? How is that any different than what they lambast about January 6th? Isn't the argument about what they'll tell you about, for example, election fraud? They'll say, the courts have spoken. The courts have spoken. And you'll be like, well, but most of the things were never actually heard in court. They were told that they couldn't look at the evidence because of standing and other such things. Now, the courts have spoken. It's that simple. The courts have spoken. We have to trust the courts. And so for Trump to be distrusting, to try to come up with alternative legal theories like these electors, that's beyond the pale. That's stealing democracy. And yet, as soon as the courts start ruling against them, they make the exact same argument that they're criticizing. Oh, well, that's it. Now the courts have made Trump king, so we have to operate outside the scope of that. It's an absurd juxtaposition. Again, everything they accuse you of. What do the left accuse me of? I'm a gish galloper. And who's their favorite person to watch debate? Destiny, who does, if not the same, worse than me. I'm a conspiracy theorist. Huge portions of Democrats now think that Donald Trump staged his own assassination attempt. They think Trump, who they call a coward, was brave enough to say, yeah, go take a shot at my head. It's insane. Everything they say about you, they don't believe it. They say I engage in whataboutism. Their whole argument is, well, now we could defend calls for violence and stuff because the right did it. That's what Mehdi Hassan's argument is on Piers Morgan. That's what Destiny's argument was on Piers Morgan. I thought you lamented whataboutism. How many times have I said it? If the treatment that was done to Donald Trump since 2016 was done to a Democrat candidate, they would lose their ever-loving minds. And every day they show it. Did Trump use the FBI to spy on his opponents using opposition research? Nope, didn't do that. That was what happened under a Democratic administration. Did we find out that the FBI was talking about insurance policies to stop Donald Trump's opponents from winning the presidency, while at the same time they had two investigations going, one against Trump and one against his opponents, where they left his opponent off the hook for everything? Nope, that's what happened in the other way. And none of them gave a shit. They did not care. And when people like me said, this is outrageous, this is corruption, this is usurping the will of the people, they didn't give a shit. Ha ha, we don't care. That's what they thought. And then as soon as a court rules, the court didn't say Trump could do whatever he thinks forever. The court said, yeah, the way that you're prosecuting Trump right now, some of that can't go on. And they're losing it. To them, the standard is, we must be able to throw our opponent in prison, or it's anti-democratic. That's their argument. That's what all the insanity is right now. That's what's going on. They're pissed off that they can't throw Trump in prison before the election. That's what they're pissed off about. No. The physical therapy is not that embarrassing or anything. It's a lot of just back stretches, but no. So my appointment's at 10, so I'm a little early. What are you on about? I don't know. Can't you listen? In addition to just the gaslighting, I do have to admit, the average Democrat supporter, not that bright, at least that watches me and makes comments about me. For example, I put a post up there. I love this, right? I'm trying real hard. It's actually a really difficult week for me in the sense of my principles. It's easy when you're getting screwed over to say this is horseshit. That's easy, right? But what's difficult is to keep those standards when you're not. So when I'm getting banned, or my friend EOD696, EOD's a great guy. He got banned from Twitch. And by the way, let me say this for a second. How dare I go to bat for some community like Destiny's community and say, look, I'm against this banning. I believe that, I do. But how dare I forget great people like EOD, whose community are much better, who weren't calling for crazy violent shit or making fun of people dying, and he gets perma-banned from Twitch. And how dare I speak up against some lefty getting banned before EOD. So please, consider following EOD696 on Kick. That's my bad. I forgot that he had got banned. I'd heard about it, and I forgot to reach out to him. I feel terrible about that. Now, that doesn't mean that I think that Destiny should have been banned. I don't. But I'm just saying, if you could stick up for people you disagree with, you damn sure should be sticking up for people on the same thing that you agree with. That's the truth. So anyways, what was I saying? I don't even. Oh yeah, so I put a little tweet post out that's basically like, look, although I think what Destiny's saying is disgusting, it is true that there was some hypocrisy, that there are people on the right that celebrated like when Paul Pelosi got hit with this hammer. And if you go look at where I said that, at least 7, 8 people, not 1 or 2, like 7, 8, maybe even 12, were like, why didn't you mention Paul Pelosi? Now that's an interesting whataboutism, but you want to know why that's an even dumber argument? Because I did mention Paul Pelosi in the fucking post. They don't even read. I don't know that Destiny would cheer on my death. That's the argument. He may have. I don't blame people that come to that conclusion. Listen, it's difficult. It has not been a good week for me. I understand there's an immense amount of gaslighting going on, and I understand that we're all biased. You are. And that the temperatures have been increasing ever since Trump first ran. And I understand that it seems like a boring, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Was Trump's extremism first, or were people extreme to Trump, which then his people became extreme? I understand that. And it sounds boring, and I'm not really talking about that much. But my honest, heartfelt opinion is, in both the quality and quantity of the extremism against Trump and his supporters, it's been immensely larger than the other way about. For example, show me college campuses of lefties getting the shit beat out of them. Show me college campuses where left-wing speakers are unable to get on stage because of the violence and the insanity against them. Show it to me. I remember in 2016, footage after footage after footage of people in Trump hats getting the shit beat out of them. Left-wingers coming to their rallies, smashing them around. Portland, people like Patriot Prayer getting permits. Antifa and other groups showing up with bats, with boards, beating the shit out of them. Over and over and over it occurred. And then, predictably, when you had groups like the Proud Boys that started to fight back, oh, see, it's the right wing that's really violent. I've seen the cancel culture. I've seen Nick Sandman. Remember that kid that in front of Nathan Phillips, the keeper of the sacred pipe, Nathan Phillips? Remember, Nicholas Sandman was of the Covington High School kids that smirked at that Native American that was in his face. Remember that? I saw how he was attacked. I saw just last year, remember the kid at the Kansas City Chiefs game that had his face painted red and black? How he was attacked. I saw professor that was wearing a shirt with bikini-clad women that a friend made, how he was attacked. I saw people fired for donating to Kyle Rittenhouse's defense. I saw Gina Carano fired from Disney because she said that she thought that the left was being Hitler-like. Meanwhile, every other person that works for Disney can say Donald Trump's Hitler and there's zero consequences. This happened over and over and over, countless times. I saw James Damore get fired for Google for speaking up against the efforts of DEI. Over and over and over. I saw Kyle Rittenhouse get accused of being a white supremacist for giving an okay sign or for singing a song that the Proud Boys sing. I debated these people over and over and over and over that said I was a white supremacist for benign things. If you're against Black Lives Matter, then clearly you're against Black lives. I saw this. And I'm not saying everyone on the left said, yay. But the voices that were cheering it on won. And I spat over and over, don't engage in cancel culture. Don't do it. Don't do it. It got so bad. I remember when Roseanne Barr made a joke about Valerie, what's her name? I forget her last name. And it was considered a racial joke, which Roseanne claimed she didn't even know she was a person of color, which I believe, nonetheless. Even Ben Shapiro said, I understand why she got fired. And yet, Kathy Griffin, all of these other people, he and many others said they shouldn't be fired. By the way, so did I. I defended Kathy Griffin. I said, it's a joke. If you don't like it, turn the channel. Don't get that magazine. That's it. I defended all of them. I said, I don't want to see them canceled. All of them. Go back and look what I was saying. All of them I defended. And then I came to the sobering realization, this isn't going to stop. It's not going to stop. It will not stop until the other side faces these consequences. Now, I still don't have it in me. For example, if my neighbor, someone I knew put on Facebook, I wish that bullet would have taken Trump out. I wish he had better aim, blah, blah, blah. I would hate that. But I'm not calling their job. I'm not rooting for them necessarily to lose their job. I'm not going to do it. But I understand. And the people that are doing it are probably right. It's not about, the argument is this, it's not about them. It's not about that woman that works at Home Depot that got fired. It's about letting people know you can't do this anymore. The culture can't protect you. The culture is no longer going to be so one-sided that one side can say and do whatever they want with zero consequences, and the other side has to walk on eggshells. Now we all have to walk on eggshells. So maybe now, if you're not that Home Depot lady, and I feel terrible, she got fired, I do. But maybe you're just someone who would also say stuff like that. Maybe you'll go, maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I shouldn't. And the hope is inevitably everyone gets tired of walking on eggshells, and we all come to an agreement like, you know what? Why don't we go back to how it used to be, where we weren't trying to get people fired for shit they were saying? Now, the things that people on the right were getting fired for saying doesn't compare to calling for the assassination of the president. I understand, Damien, it's a different level. But it's not been a fun week for me. Introspection's not fun. I'm a simple person. I'm not a deep philosophical thinker. You know, I say that like when you see The Crucible, like that I like, or Andrew Wilson. When I moderate the debate between Dave Smith and Andrew Wilson. Now, I don't dislike Dave Smith at all. In fact, I like Dave Smith, but I don't know him. But Andrew's a friend of mine. He's helped me out with my channel. He's helped me out in real life. Nice dude. But I don't really debate like Andrew. We have a different style. Andrew's style is sort of finding, what is your foundational principle for why you believe this? Can you philosophically justify your morality? You don't see me doing a lot of that. By the way, other people I like my friends Casimir and Fabian Liberty, and Caps, that's how they look at the world. That's how they're like scientists and I'm like an artist. I'm just kind of feeling my way through things like a normal guy. And I think Dave Smith's more like that. Now, I could engage in that philosophical level of argumentation, but it's not something I particularly like doing. That person's a shitty person. Really? Can you explain to me exactly why they're shitty? I don't know. I could just tell. That's not the best answer. How do I know that destiny's not really calling for my death or calling for the death of Donald Trump? I don't know. I just kind of feel it. I'm looking at the best available evidence and I'm feeling through it. And I might be 100% wrong. And I don't blame people for thinking that I'm wrong. It is what it is. But that's how I go through life. I don't want to have to sit here and be like, okay, is it justified to want this person fired? Is it justified to want this person demonetized? That's not what I want to be doing. But that's the reality we're in. You're gonna buy my beard. Thanks, Butters. You're gonna kiss me. Please don't. I don't consent. Well, that's just it, Travis. That's the point. Nobody's truly going to care about what I'm saying in 4 years. The message got deleted. Yeah, I say that all the time. Absolutely true. For example, who cares what I was saying 4 years ago? Probably not even me. Yeah, it's absolutely true. I kind of find that comforting, to be honest. That's the world I want. I want a world where you can say things and you're not held to account 20 years from now because you made an off-color joke in your Facebook page. No, I agree, drunk, because it is absurd. And I'm sure part of it, I think it's partly for engagement, but I think most of it's because him, and it's not just him, it's millions of people in this country who have whipped themselves into a fervor that Donald Trump is Hitler and that the courts are on his side, are freaking out because they think that Hitler's about to come into power and nothing could stop him. And so they're losing their minds. Now that doesn't matter in the case of if they engage in acts of action, it doesn't matter if they truly believe it or not. Those actions are immoral. They must be condemned. They must be stopped. He got canceled on Kick in the sense that, yeah, and Sparky, you're absolutely right. There's nowhere to go. They're at 100. They've upped the hyperbole so high. What are they going to do? Let's say that Trump wins and then we're going into 2028 and it's J.D. Vance. Are they going to be like, well, okay, at least he's not a threat to democracy. You know, at least we don't like his policies. You know, we think he'd have bad economic policies. Maybe he would endanger Ukraine, but he's not a threat to democracy. You think that's going to be the argument? Of course not. Yeah, that's right, Trey Jones. He already was empowered. Do I think the left will agree to a place where we once were? Probably not. But I could still hope and push for it. Yeah, Brock, I agree. The sort of performative going right in that Home Depot lady's face and putting it on there. So, anyways, I didn't think the speech was as bad as people were saying. I give it a B. I thought that the beginning of it was historic, emotional. I wish that tone was kept the majoritarily throughout it. It was way too long. The speech was way too long. There's no parsing it. But there were advantages to that. It showed Trump's energy. And the left was going to say if he was only emotional, like at the beginning, that he's lost his energy. So I think that's disproven. It wasn't terrible. It just droned on. And I thought that was a mistake because of the momentum that he would have had, not just from the convention as a whole, but from the beginning of that speech. So I thought it was a mistake to drone on like that. But ultimately, I still give it a B. I still thought it was pretty good. It wasn't the dumpster fire that the left's gaslighting you to believe today. And it's not really, the only thing people are going to remember from this speech was it was long and it was very emotional at the beginning. So it's not going to move the needle much in any direction, I don't think. I don't at all. So, yeah, Tucker did do great. Grinder was jumping during the RNC. Probably. It's probably true. Hey, man, I can't speak for other people. I'm happily married. That's all I have to say. I'm not, I have my beliefs. I'm a Christian. I think even outside the scope of religious beliefs, that the ideal family unit is a mother, a father that love each other, and children. That is my honest belief. But I'm not going to shit on gay people. I don't care. If you find someone that makes you happy, it's not my place to give you life advice. If I'm giving out life advice, I'm a fat sack of shit that's heading into physical therapy, primarily because I let myself be a fat sack of shit for years and years and years. So who am I to give people life advice? Not giving people life advice. I find it immoral to cheat on your significant other, regardless if it be with a same-sex or a heterosexual relationship, so I don't know. I just kind of keep my mouth shut on that shit. It's not my forte. But yeah, I'm sure there's an awful lot of people that performatively say things like, I'm against pornography, and then they're super into porn, or I'm against prostitution, and then they're hiring hookers. I'm against homosexuality, and then they're in weird gay love spats, You think the convention looked like the movie Idiocracy? I disagree. I thought it looked like people having fun. The Hulk Hogan thing did give vibes of Macho Camacho, though, didn't it? Go back and look at the 2020 DNC convention. You remember that? Where it was like, because of COVID, no one was really around. I'll never forget they got that guy play guitar with the cheesy, and there's a black guy sing, there's something happening here. You gotta stop, baby, what's that sound? Right? Go look at that cheesy ass corny shit and then tell me, oh, it's so funny to listen to, the Hulk Hogan, they brought it, that's so fucking corny. You fucking people, you celebrated Jack Black and fucking USA overall standing in between Obama and Biden like it was some fucking great moment. So please, do some fasting. How about I do some exercise? How about I do some physical therapy here? So, all right. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to head out. This is it. You ain't going to see me the rest of the week. Well, Go Rams might. I'll have to call you Go Rams, who's my brother in real life. I'm having a birthday party tomorrow, so hopefully I see him and my other brother, Jesse, Jojo, who's probably streaming on Twitch. You can go check out Jojo Geeker on Twitch right now. But yeah, I got a birthday party coming up tomorrow, so it's going to be a lot of fun for me the rest of the weekend. So you probably won't hear from me until Monday. That's probably when I'll be streaming next. But again, I'll be remiss. I think one thing that I can do in this sort of crazy week, crazy time is I don't give a shit if you're watching me. You could hate me. You could watch me on the Democrat side and hate me and think I'm a shithead and I'm a grifter and I'm a liar and I'm unethical and this and that. Please don't engage in acts of violence. Don't say something online that's going to cause you to lose your job. Don't say something that's going to cause you to lose your real life relationships. And the same is true on the right. The same is absolutely true. Don't do anything unhinged. Don't worry about, well, they're coming at us. Now we need to come at them. Like, take a step back. Just take a step back.